Hello, I'm Brigantia, Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Friday and welcome to Spooky Tales. Let's do some movie recommendations because the spookiest night of the year approaches and we have so much to look forward to. Feast, rituals, handing out candy for the trick-or-treating, and of course, we simply must watch spooky movies. Now, everyone has their own preferences about what kind of spooky movies they like to watch for Samhain, Halloween, Third Harvest, whatever it is you're calling it. We know what we're talking about here. And there are some households that they have very firm traditions about what they watch on the night. They never deviate. And then there's other households like mine that are a tad more flexible, and it depends upon what mood are in. And I put this a lot down to the fact that I have a Sagittarius husband. He likes variety, almost as if he's a Sagittarius. Anyway, moving on. Basically, for this video, I've divided my suggestions into the more fun-loving spooky things and the more scary or the more serious spooky things. Some are properly scary and others are just more serious in tone, but I figured they could bunk in together. So let's start with the fun-loving ideas. Recently, I have rediscovered the old Looney Tunes Halloween episodes, as well as, other special cartoons, like Garfield, things from my childhood. And they are just delightful. They're innocent, they're funny, they're very Halloweeny, perfectly safe for you to watch with your kids. They can get into the spirit of things without being exposed to anything that might be nightmare-inducing. And of course, we can't have a list of movie recommendations without the cult favorite of Hocus Pocus being mentioned. I only saw it for the first time a couple of years ago, but for other people, they were watching that back in their childhood, and it gives them all kinds of warm fuzzies to watch it again. And it's very campy, it's very fun. I mean, people do go crazy over it for a reason. Now, for me, I really love any of the Addams Family movies, any of the Addams Family shows, anything from the Munsters. I mean, we cannot have Halloween without our favorite Gothic families. And recently, there was a new Munsters movie that came out on Netflix, and it was absolutely delightful. It really kept true to the spirit of the original show. There was nothing that was out of place or, that I would feel, icky about watching, or that I would feel uncomfortable, showing kids around. I mean, as long as the kids are in the double digits, I don't think there's anything objectionable. Of course, parents, use your own best judgment. But just something about the way they did it and the color palette they used and the detail of all of the sets and their characterizations, it just made me want to live in their world just for forever. I loved it. Now, of course, also any of the Harry Potter movies. And in fact, if you decided to take the day off, I mean, you could do an absolute marathon, and that would not be a wasted day. I also like to watch the 1980s movie Clues. It's a whodunit complete with blackmail, mass confusion. It has several possible endings. It's ridiculous and hilarious, and I thoroughly enjoy it. If, like me, you're a bit of a nerd and you do like those old black and white movies, I would suggest Arsenic and Old Lace. The basic premise of the movie is that there's this longtime bachelor. He rushes home to go tell his dear aunties that he finally got married. But in the course of things, he discovers that they have a secret involving arsenic and poor lonely old men. So, uh, quite a bit of rambunctiousness goes on from there. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. Now, another funny movie, but these are definitely not for kids, would be Shaun of the Dead, which is a comedy about the zombie apocalypse. And then we have Dale and Tucker versus Evil, where we have two country boys just trying to fix up their cabin in the woods versus a bunch of college kids who are drawing all the wrong conclusions. Now, those are my favorite, more fun-loving type of stuff. Now for the movies that are a bit more serious or are legitimately spooky. Naturally, no list of this kind would be complete without referencing the classic movie monsters: Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Mummy, Swamp Thing, the Invisible Man, along with modern adaptations that actually did manage to do the characters justice. Each of these creatures represents a different form of human fear. And if you allow yourself to get immersed into it, and you're not distracted by the technical aspects of them, you just think about how would it feel in that situation. It's really interesting to just how psychologically affecting it can be. Now, speaking of psychologically affecting and something that is properly scary, I really like the original The Conjuring movie. I think it was really well done. There are others in the Conjuring universe, and of course, we have the Annabelle movies, and they're not bad. I'm not sorry to have watched them. But I think that The Conjuring just has something above and beyond that really sets it apart and makes it special. We also have Paranormal Activity that's shot in that found footage style. It still gives me the shivers, delightfully so. Definitely would not wish that kind of experience on anyone, but I think it was well done. Then we have Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Still a classic, and it can still get to you. The idea of getting stabbed to death in the shower, I mean, that doesn't lose its scariness. You're very vulnerable when you're in the shower, and the idea of just getting butchered like that for no reason at all, I mean, it's horrifying. And it doesn't matter how old the movie that depicts such a thing is. I mean, it's the idea. It's there. It's in your head. And once it's in your head, you're a little bit more suspicious to make sure you're actually alone in the bathroom for a while. Then we have the next movie, The Winchester, about the famous Winchester Mansion, one of my new favorites. And I also like The Lady in Black with Daniel Radcliffe. He's a young lawyer who's sent to settle the affairs of this Gothic Victorian estate that's on this island that's off to itself. It's being haunted by a ghost who is driving children to their death. It's really incredible. And these are just a few ideas and a few of my favorites. There are far too many to mention. I would love to hear about your own favorites and your own traditional spooky movies to watch in the comment section. Or better yet, come to Gilded. You'll find the link to the group in the description box. And once you get there, post your ideas of what movies you really like to watch during this time in our Samhain channel. It'll be found under the Wheel of the Year category of channels, and then Samhain's at the bottom of that. I would really enjoy hearing about your personal recommendations. Maybe you'll introduce me to something new. And then, I will be forever grateful, and that will be awesome. But those are the ideas. Now it's your turn. Tell me all about it. I want to hear. I want to know. And I think that'll do it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.